So this is part 2 to my video on how to put on a watch. And so as you can see, the watch is on my wrist, right? You can see it. But I'm going to try to put the Velcro wrap around. So you see how my brain said, oh, why don't you do it like this? But see, the Velcro is now covering up the watch. So we all know that that's not the correct way to put on your watch band. So now I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do it. So I'm going to try to move my band, but see, even with that, it was covering up the front of the watch and then it fell off. So now let me see if I can do it again. Nope, wrong way. How about if I do it again? Wrong way. Not gonna work. Both ways cover up the front of the watch. So now the next question is, well, how do I do it? Well, okay, it looks like there's a thing that I can put the band through. So let me see if I can do this. See, with one hand, it's a little challenging because, you know, I gotta somehow lift up the hole. Whoa, see, it just fell off the wrist. Okay, so I gotta try to lift up the hole. Now the Velcro is getting crooked. Okay, there we go. So now fell off again. Let's try it again. Whoa, and then see if I turn my hand. All right, this is interesting. So by turning my hand, I might be able to hold the watch still and then put the Velcro in the hole. Let's see. All right, so here we go. I might be able to get it through. So this is cool. Look at this. So I almost got it through. But, oh, look at that. I got it through, but look, it's upside down. So now I just move it. But so, all right, so you see how putting on this watch here, it took me 2 minutes and 40 seconds to put that watch on. It took me this entire video to put a watch on. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Now, 2 minutes isn't that long. Perhaps a non-disabled person would have taken 2 minutes, but honestly though, I don't know if they would have. And, you know, part of the challenge with cerebral palsy is that, because for me at least, cerebral palsy is something that presents in what some would call a mild way. But just because my disability is mild, quote unquote, like, that's subjective. I mean, medically it might be mild compared to my other warriors who have cerebral palsy, my other friends with it. But honestly, you know, taking 2 minutes to put a watch on, especially if I was in front of other people, I would have been frazzled trying to figure that out quickly. Like, especially if they were waiting for me, like, that would have been hard. But part of the challenge with cerebral palsy is also, especially with a more mild form of it, like if you have a mild disability, and if you can pass in non-disabled society as appearing able-bodied, people don't always believe that you're disabled. And on one hand, this is interesting because for 17 years, I grew up trying to camouflage and just blend in with non-disabled people because I did not acknowledge the fact that I was disabled until I was 17. And honestly, like, I knew I was different, but what I mean is I didn't publicly say to others that I was disabled till like 17 years old. So, and like even then it was something new to me to identify as disabled, whereas before I would just camouflage. So anyway, but what makes it difficult is that you can't camouflage 100% of the time, because after all, you're disabled. So you're going to have what I call disability moments. Disability moments like this, putting on a watch. And one of my friends in the disability community put it this way. She said, you may have abilities in one area that are consistent with your age and developmental stage in life. But then in other areas, you're going to have fewer abilities. And so it's because of this that people are going to look at you and be surprised of why you can't do something that is considered a basic skill to your peers or to anyone else. So that's what makes it hard, right? Is that not only do people not believe that we're disabled sometimes, and sometimes they might say, oh gee, I didn't even know that you were disabled. I mean, looking at you and watching you live, I didn't even notice, which I think that there's people who may have different opinions about this in the disability community, because that's basically the equivalent of saying something like, oh, you're so inspiring. And not that it's wrong to find someone inspiring, but the context here is that the non-disabled person finds the disabled person inspiring just for living and doing basic things that everyone does. Right, so we don't want to pass around this inspiration type ableism. But at the same time, if someone says that I could pass as a non-disabled person, I just kind of let it slide. I don't worry about that type of comment, but I just move on and say, okay, thanks, or whatever. But so the difficulty is people say that they can't tell that we're disabled, or that they may not even believe in it. But then once they see us having a disability moment, then they're like, oh no. Or they may not say anything and just look at us and think about like, oh boy, like they might feel sympathy. But do we want to be pitied? No. Especially, for people my age, like if you're age 18 and older, we're young adults, and we want to be treated the same way as everyone else. And we don't want to be viewed as, oh, he's having trouble with something. Like, oh, let's pat him on the back and help him. Like, like, sure, help me if you see me having difficulty, but like, ask me first. And I'll usually say yes, because you'll be a lifesaver in that moment. But the point that I'm trying to make is that mild disabilities are valid, and I want you to know that. If you're someone with a mild disability, we may not always be as widely known or represented, but know that people like you exist, and these tasks that seemingly fly under the radar and cause people to doubt whether you're disabled, please know that you know yourself best. I'm friends with a researcher, and she's doing her scholarly PhD research on self-knowledge. And so, basically the whole idea is that you, as a disabled person, you know yourself best. So feel free to embrace your disability and all of who you are. Be proud of who you are. Don't be afraid to self-advocate and ask for help so that you can live a self-determined, dignified with risk life. And make sure to get support with these little things, and know that having a mild disability is valid. And whether it's mild or not, you have a disability and you deserve support, and you have friends who are just like you. All right? We are here for you. Okay? So have a good night, everybody. I just wanted to make a part 2 to the watch video to show that, this happens in life. And but we're gonna live with stride. We're gonna get through it. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks. Bye.